and we are back with the Producer's Corner here with our guest for the evening, Noah Jones, originally from New York, now residing in Cali. Done some work performing with B.O.B., Yellow Wolf, also Nipsey Hussle, Crooked Eye. Been recognized by all hip-hop as well as Dope Bar blogs. Those of you guys who are big in the hip-hop community know how these are two of the biggest hip-hop blogs online. Without much further ado, Noah Jones, what's good, my brother?
Hey, man, thanks for the opportunity, bro. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Oh, man, not a problem at all, man. I see you grinding, man, doing your thing, and I really, really admired that. That's one of the reasons I had reached out to work with you first and foremost, and then another reason, man, I see you're at the end of you're coming towards the end of your quest, am I correct? Probably within the next, 2 or 3 weeks. So, you know,
actually, to be honest, I'm only like 10 away. So I mean, if I really wanted to, I probably could do these last 10 collabs in like 3 days if I wanted to. So I'm just trying to stretch it out a little bit to give people some time to tune in, the late bloomers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, are you coming on tonight? Or are you?
Actually, nah. I don't like to do radio interviews and my show at the same time because I like to devote all my attention to the people that's giving me the opportunity. So I'd rather focus on the interview and then, I'll deal with the show another time. People get spoiled. If you give them the treats all the time, they get spoiled. So sometimes you got to stretch it out a little bit.
Okay. Definitely. Before the interview is done, I want you to, get all that information out so all the listeners can tune in to the next upcoming collabs that you're doing. But as far as the collabs themselves, man, what made you come up with the concept as far as doing 200 collaborations? I mean, that's a lot of work, man, and I respect that work ethic. Tell us, man.
I just wanted to do something completely different. Like, my thing is, I've always been an outside-the-box thinker, so I wanted to do something that pretty much really matched my work ethic, and I wanted to do something that just seemed impossible. You know what I mean? So I picked the highest number that I could think of, and I was like, what would be a number that people would think would be so outrageous that nobody could do it? That way I could build up all the doubt and all the haters and everything else and then still smash down the world record anyway. So, and it has like multi-purposes. Like, I wanted to do something where I incorporated as many people from all over the world as possible so I could create like a real large network and I could introduce other artists and producers to each other. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's really lacking in the whole hip-hop community, period, is that there aren't a lot of people that's really, really working together. And if they are working together, it's people from the same area. So I wanted to bring, rappers from Africa and producers from Africa to work with producers in Canada and rappers in Canada and stuff like that. So I basically became like the central hub for everybody to pretty much work together. So it was like, I wanted to do that as well, and that's what this pretty much is about.
Yeah, definitely, man. I definitely seen really, because when I caught it, I guess it was around the early 100s. So I kind of seen how a lot of the movement has grew over time. When you first caught it, we started doing it live. Like, the first 100 collabs I did behind the scenes, where I basically I wrote and recorded and mixed all the records, like, and then I uploaded it every night before midnight. That was like the thing. Like, I had everybody checking. They were checking my page for like at midnight just to see what the new collab was going to be. And then what happened was, during the process, I ended up getting verified on Facebook. So I was able to go live from Facebook, and I was like one of the first people to really start pioneering the whole live stream thing. So at Collab 100, I started going live with everything and started doing it in front of the public and allowing people to tune in for the whole creative process while I work on it. So, I just thought it was something completely different. And, that's a side that we don't get a chance to see with some of our favorite artists. Like, you don't never really get a chance to see them working from scratch because a lot of them have, like, teams behind them. They have, multiple writers. They have, multiple producers, people throwing them ideas. And since I do it all myself, I figure, look, let me do something that nobody else is really doing. Let me show you how I get down and how I could do this whole thing in less than an hour. So. Man, word. And as far as, like, I guess the cool thing about the whole live streaming, how has the experience as far as connecting with the fans been a part? How has that really been a part of what you do? Like, tell us a little bit about the experience as far as how you connected with the fan.
It's a lot. It's more personal because, for example, you can see them when they jump in the room, and a lot of times they jump in the room and they say, "Hey, no, what's going on? How's your day?" And then I can respond to them instantly. You know what I mean? And the thing about the live thing is, it's instant. Everything is instant. You get instant fans. You get random people jump in your room, and if they like what you're doing, and you talk to them, and they talk back to you, et cetera, et cetera. It's more personal than me just putting up a video and people that don't know me commenting because they know that I see what they're saying, so they expect some sort of response. So it's a lot more personal, and it's they always say you want to interact with your audience. And I think this is the best way to do it. You interact with your audience. Sometimes they could even, when I do my live show, they be actually writing their own lyrics to the stuff that I'm working on, and they be typing it on the comment section and stuff too. So it's, we have a lot of fun. And then we have the haters, the people that come in there, and, I end up stirring their grits, and everybody starts jumping on them because, they just don't understand that there's a proper way to do things when you come in the chat room. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. For those of y'all who haven't gotten a chance to see his live stream on Facebook, I want you to go ahead and throw out your Facebook information where they can catch the live streams at.
Okay, you can catch them all at facebook.com/Noah Jones News, and pretty much all of my collab videos are on there. Like you could type in collab number 95 and it'll pop up on Facebook. I made sure that all the videos were public, so at any given time, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to set a Guinness World Record. So that was part of the thing that when I sent out my application, I let them know, hey, you guys can type in whatever information you want and the information will come up, so it'll make it easy to research my claim, so that way you guys can process me into the record books. So I left everything open so everybody could actually get involved, and you could go back and watch some of the growth and some of the different songs from collab like 50. And I mean, I've had some celebrities involved too. I've had Jadakiss on a record. I've had French Montana on one. I've had Joel Ortiz on another. So, it hasn't just been local people. I've had some, some big artists on there as well. So everybody's trying to contribute a little bit. It's just been a great thing.
Man, yeah, definitely. If you haven't checked it out, you definitely want to check it out. As far as your collabs themselves, one thing I always ask every guest that comes on the show is, what's a collab that you want to do with somebody that you maybe haven't gotten a chance to work with, whether that's an artist, whether that's a producer, and tell us why.
Let me see. I mean, everybody has their top 5, but I would say from a financial standpoint, like, for example, I believe certain artists at this particular time can jumpstart your career. You know what I mean? And I believe, like, if I did a record with Drake, that would be something that could really, really push what I'm doing over the top. Not to say that because I mean, I don't really vouch for the way that he has his team of writers or whatever the case may be. Like he puts out quality music, but I can't vouch for the way he does it. But that being said, I can still respect his position. I can still respect what he's brought to the game. I can still respect his accolades. And I believe that, if I was actually live in the studio with him and filming the process and, bringing what I know as far as my hip-hop, mentality to the table and my experience, I think it would be something amazing. And not only that, he's one of the highest-selling, artists for the past several years. So, and everybody's checking for what he's doing. So if you get a Drake joint and y'all are filming it and you're promoting it, it's going to definitely do numbers. And that's what you need to be successful. You got to do numbers.
Yeah, man. I mean, Drake is just so amazing because it's pretty much no matter what he touches, man, it turns to gold. And, I mean,
wow.
His work ethic, he doesn't stop. He's always collaborating if he's not releasing his own personal projects. So he's always finds a way to stay relevant as far as what he does. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, as far as your process. I mean, you spoke a little bit about it earlier. As far as you do a lot of your own mixing. As far as the engineering aspect of music, how important do you think that is to artists these days, especially with a lot of people having in-home studios and are able to mix and create their own records right on the spot. So I noticed I watch a lot of your streams as well, and I noticed at times you do talk about, when artists send in tracks, for example, they may turn it up too loud and it's distorted, or they just don't really know how to properly mix and engineer their own tracks. How important do you think that is?
I think it's extremely important because fact of the matter is this: when you're in the entertainment business, and I wouldn't say just like on a local level, I would say when you're at that professional level that I would consider myself at, you don't have a whole lot of spare time to waste. And, you want to do things as correctly as possible the first time. So when you send over an instrumental, you have to make sure that the instrumental sounds good enough to where if the person on the receiving end likes it, they can record it instantly. You don't want to have 4 or 5 exchanges back and forth with somebody just to get the music done, because the music will never get done. You want the artist to be able to capitalize off the energy and the momentum that he has the minute he hears that record. You know what I mean? Which is one of the reasons why I'm able to continuously create every night when I do my collabs, is because I don't load it up. I don't even really listen to the music until, for the most part, till I load it up in the studio and it's time to work on it. So that way, as soon as I hear it, I'm like, yo, I like this. Let me go ahead, and the creative energy just starts going, and I can just start writing, and it becomes very easy for me. But sometimes you have producers that, they'll send you an MP3, and MP3 is 6 times a smaller file than a WAV. So then you have to go back and say, yo, send me the WAV file. Like, I'm not recording on a Fisher-Price mic. I need high quality, I need high quality files. So, you have things like that, but then, or they'll send you a snippet, and it'll be 1 minute and 20 seconds, and it's like, well, what if I wanted to do a full song? Now I got to wait for you to send me the full version. So all these little things like that can be worked out prior to sending the music over. And it's really basically just producers and rappers in general, they don't take their time. They're in a rush to get everything done, and nobody really tells them the correct way to do it because people are afraid to be outspoken. And I tell them, as soon as I load it up, I say, yo, this is too loud. I'll take a screenshot and I'll send it right back to them. And I'm like, yo, bro, your stuff is peaking all over the place. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And their first thing is, well, it's got to knock. It's got to knock. I said, yeah, but you got to understand that when you're doing a creative process, you have to leave some headroom in order for your final mix and everything to be correct. You got to leave that headroom so when you send the record out to get mastered, none of your final mix isn't clipping. I was like, but if you run everything to the peak during the pre-mixing stage with the pre-recording, then it's going to sound awful by the time the final product is done. Then you got to make more adjustments on the back end. So it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, man. And, it's a lot of the information is out there, and, it's just like you said, they're constantly making beats. They don't really stop to find information themselves. Even go hang out with somebody maybe in their own community that might have the knowledge.
Somebody that knows. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody that knows. Like a professional that can say, look, your stuff isn't supposed to go into the yellow when you're recording. It's supposed to be green only. Leave those higher levels, and your beat is supposed to breathe. As the bass is hitting, it's supposed to go up and down. It's got to breathe. You know what I mean? But, these people think louder is better. You know what I'm saying? And that's only in terms for final mixing. At the end, louder is better. You want to match it up to a popular song that's already out there that's been mixed professionally, but you don't want to do all of that before you actually lay your vocals, because once you lay vocals on top of the beat, it adds a whole different dynamic to what the overall recording sounds like, and it can make throw everything off. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
We've all been there. We've all been there, man.
So just keep continuing to tell these people that they messing up, so that way they can get a better idea. Tell them, hey, don't take it personal, but this is what you really need to do is constructive criticism to help you step your game up. It ain't nothing personal.
That's it, man. That's it. You got to be open to criticism if you expect to grow these days. As far as on the marketing side, and you do everything independently. So really, I guess from how you started to how you got to where you are now, tell us a little bit about maybe some of that, how that journey looked, some of the people that maybe influenced you along the way as well.
I've been around for a while, so what happened was I like to consider myself just the anti-everything. Like, for example, when everybody was jumping on Twitter I didn't get to it until like 6 years after it came out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like to run for the nearest trend. I like to focus on what makes me me, and then utilize those other things later on to enhance whatever it is that I'm already currently working on. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's a real problem in the community where, you know, we jumping from trend to trend, like, oh, Snapchat's the new thing, let's jump on Snapchat, instead of really focusing on what we're supposed to be doing. Like, are you an artist, or are you, you know, like, what are you trying to do? You know, focus on your catalog, focus on your body of work, focus on, you know, the particular sound and the audience that you want to reach before you get out there and try to use all of these different marketing tools to put your stuff out there. Because if you're not reaching a demographic, you're basically just spinning your wheels, not going nowhere. So, you know, I've been around for all of this stuff, and like I said, I consider myself like the anti-Twitter, the anti-Facebook. And then what happened was, years later, I started saying, okay, let me see, what do I need to do with my career, and how can I enhance it, and how can I do this? And then I started jumping online and adding little pieces of this here and a little, you know, pieces of that there. So, you know, basically, you know, it's I don't know, like, I haven't met too many people like in person, because I try to outthink everybody. So I haven't really met too many people that inspired me on that end as far as, you know, whatever it is. Like what I would say right now, my train of thought is like, for example, everybody's trying to make mixtapes, et cetera, et cetera. And my mentality is I'm trying to find a way to strike another deal like how Jay-Z did with Samsung. You know what I mean? So it's like my mentality is completely different, and I tell these young artists that, like, when they say, yeah, I'm working on this project, I'm like, bro, everybody's working on a project. I was like, you know, it's crabs in a barrel. Y'all all doing the same exact thing, which is why I wanted to do the 200 thing. I was like, yo, let me find something that even my peers, even the people that I look up to have never done. And I've never seen, you know, any rapper do, like, have his voice on 200 songs in a little over 6 months. You know what I mean? That's why I filed for the record for it, because as of right now, I'm the only artist that did that. You know what I mean? And now I'm like, okay, midway through, I was like, okay, once this is over with, what am I going to do next? I'm already plotting, like, what's going to be the next move that nobody else has done, so that way I can cement that also. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of, you know, me just trying to do something like studying the market, studying what everybody else is doing, and saying I'm going to go a completely different direction and use what I'm good at to get different results.
Man, yeah, I definitely respect that, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of the 200 collabs that you're doing. Where can our listeners find, you know, your music, and as well as follow you online and some of your work?
Yeah, you can go to, I have my own website, which is noahjonesnews.com, and that's like the central hub for everything. And what I wanted to do differently is, like, I have, you know, everybody has their social media links, et cetera, et cetera. All of my stuff, like, you can find all my stuff from the home page of my website. Like, you can find the Instagram stuff. You can find the, you know, like, there's links to everything. You can just click on it and it'll redirect you to the different sites. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to have different content on everything. Like, for example, if you go to my SoundCloud, even though I don't promote SoundCloud because I'd rather draw all the energy and all the traffic to my own site, you'll find different music on my SoundCloud that's not available on any other site. You know what I mean? So my Reverb Nation has songs on it that you won't find on the SoundCloud. My YouTube has stuff on it that you won't find on the website. You know what I mean? So that way you have a completely different experience when you go to any one of my social media accounts, which allows you to, you know, pretty much go to everything and say, yo, I know I'm going to see something different than I've already saw of his previously. So.
Okay. All right, man. Hey, man. It's definitely been a pleasure to have you on the radio show. If you would ever like to come back on, feel free to reach out. We'd love to have you back on. If you have like a project coming or whatever it is, man, reach out to me. And I look forward to seeing you finish up the 200 collabs, bro.
Yeah, man, I greatly appreciate it. Before I run, let me just plug one last thing. I got a movie that I'm working on. It's already done. It's just being it's in the editing phase. And it's me. I got J. Cole in there. I got Ice Cube in there. I got a whole bunch of other artists and stuff in there. And it's basically a documentary on all the things that I've done pretty much in my music career. And it's kind of like a self-help thing. And it basically gives artists like tips and ideas on how, you know, they could pretty much reach out to some of their favorite artists and be able to work with them. And, you know, it's kind of like a self-help / documentary. So you get to see me in the studio with Crooked Eye and, you know, in the studio with Nocturnal and on tour and all this other stuff. And, it's just some amazing stuff. Like I said, you see me getting J. Cole's phone number, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's just some real cool stuff, and it's to me, it's very exciting just to have been in that environment and to be able to, do my thing for hip hop culture. So it's called My Story, and the trailer you can find on my site. It's also on my Facebook. You'll be able to see the trailer on there, the movie trailer, and I'm just working, man.
All right, 100, man. I'm definitely looking forward to that. We're about to go to our next commercial break. We'll be back with the Producer's Corner.